So we'll start right there. I'm Sam. You can just call me Sam. It's fine. If you feel like you need to be formal, you can say Dr. Richards or whatever, but it's all good. And it's going to be a good semester. So this is some info that you need to know. The hashtag is just basically Social19. We try to get a back channel Twitter conversation going, and I recognize that sort of the use of Twitter kind of grows, expands, and subsides a little bit every semester. But in any case, it's really good, I think, if y'all are able to be on Twitter and have a back channel conversation, meaning talk amongst yourselves on that app. So that's the hashtag that we'll use. Social19.org is the website. That's where everything is. We'll use Canvas. We'll use the .org site. The syllabus is there. It's also on Canvas. And that email right there is the email for all class correspondence, not Canvas. So keep in mind. I'll announce that many times. And we are streaming. And so you see the cameras around the room. We use the video in this class for the assignments. By the way, hang on a second. I just want to bring the energy in. It's awesome to be here. I feel like it's going to be a really good semester. And by good semester, I mean we're going to have a lot of fascinating conversations and really interesting conversations and deal with a lot of issues that are real life and that mean something for our lives. So I'm feeling really, really good about what's to come in these 15 weeks. So I will be bringing that energy, my energy in here, and you all just bring yours. And in so many ways, this class is a collaboration. And I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes when we talk about the way we run things here. But in order for this to be successful, we all need to be engaged at equal levels. So you have your part in here, and that's not just sitting and being passive observers of what's going on, but it's really being actively engaged, and I have my part. And we'll do it together. It's awesome. I enjoy it. It's the best 3 hours of my week that I enjoy the most. So here's the deal. We live stream. That's what these cameras are. So we started to make videos for the class assignments and to make videos for the online version of the course. And in the process, what we found was it was easiest to just stream the class and then do a live edit as we went along. So we started doing that. And then former students kind of were reaching out and saying, hey, I hear that you're actually streaming the class. What's the link? And so people started watching, and then people's parents started watching. So we're streaming right now. If you go to that link, it pops up. And then it just became this thing because it actually had a lot of meaning because we were able to begin to bring in voices from the outside. And so people are watching the stream from different parts, not only of the United States, but different parts of the world. They bring their voices into the class. So it really is, in many ways, a collaboration, a global or a world collaboration, which is really nice because we talk a lot about international issues. So listen, let me tell you a few things about myself because you probably want to know that. So first off, I grew up in Ohio, in Toledo, Ohio. I grew up in the working class. I grew up not being taught or shown to be interested in education or thinking or school. That's me. I was the last child of two older parents. My dad, that's me. And you see I'm in the pink jumper with a doll. So my parents I wouldn't call them cutting edge, in a way back then, because that photo was taken in probably 1962 or 63. It's not that they were cutting edge, it's just that they didn't care. And so I had a lot of freedom to just kind of decide who I was and what I was. And then my father died when I was 9. And then my life took a really very different turn. And but I still never took school very seriously because I didn't see anybody in my life who went to school. I was working class. The parents of the kids around me, they worked in factories, they worked in like hotel lobbies, they had janitorial positions, this sort of thing. It was not, there were a few kids whose parents, who I knew who had college degrees, but it was really rare. And I didn't take school very seriously at all. I was a voracious reader. I would go to the library my neighbor would take me to the library for years, every couple of weeks, and I'd come home with a stack of books, and I would just suck them down. Yeah, I read about everything. And I loved reading, but I hated school. I really didn't like school because school was a place where I had to go to sit still and memorize. And it didn't make any sense to me. But yet I would read and I would discover things, and that made sense to me because my mind was active. Then when I was 12, I discovered marijuana. And life really started to open up. My mind just kind of opened in ways that I never anticipated. But I was really smart about it because around me, remember, I'm working class. And so I saw a lot of addiction around me. And I was really smart about it. I mean, I saw there were certain kids. I didn't want to be like those kids. I didn't want to be like the other kids. But I really found that I enjoyed thinking. I just didn't like going to school. So I did everything I could to not be part of school. And I think I don't know what my GPA was when I graduated high school. Maybe it was like 2.3 or something like that. And then I took the ACTs and I scored in the 51st percentile, which was awesome because it meant I was above average, which was cool. And then I just muddled my way through high school. Really, not seeing the point of any of it. I went to college because I didn't really know what else to do, and it was really inexpensive, and I had applied to one university, at the University of Toledo. I got in, and I only applied because I found out I could get a day off school, which I still don't know why I did that, because when I didn't want to go to school, I just skipped school, but whatever. I applied, I got in, started college, started with 16 credits, ended up with 4. Next quarter, I started with 16 credits, I ended up with 4. The next quarter, I started with 16, I ended up with 1, and I got a D in that. And then at the end of 2.5 years, I was about halfway through my freshman year. So I would just continue, I'd take classes, I would drop them because it just wasn't interesting. I was playing music, I was a musician, I was playing in a band. We were playing all the time. I'm a drummer. I was working all the time. I just didn't make sense of school. And then one day, I had transferred to a community college, and I said, I'm never going to get a 4-year degree. I was an accounting major, of all things, because I really enjoy numbers. So I was an accounting major. I said, this is never going to happen. Let me transfer to this 2-year community college, because maybe what will happen is I'll just get a 2-year degree. I had a business. I had a painting business. I'm like, I'll just be a house painter. This is good. Life is good, right? Oh, and by the way, to give you a sense of my family, when I was graduating high school, my mother sat me down and said, hey, what are you going to do with your life? And I said, well, I really want to be a musician. She said, okay, I get that, but what else do you want to do? Because she supported my music career. And so what else do you want to do? And I said, I don't know. And she said, well, I'm reading in the newspaper that the city of Toledo is looking for court stenographers. You know, the people that sit and they transcribe everything that's happening in a trial. She said, you know, it's decent pay and you'll have benefits and you're really good at typing. That would be a good job for you. So listen, those were the expectations around me. Be a court stenographer. She didn't say be a lawyer, be an engineer, be a teacher, be a doctor, be anything. Be a court stenographer. Get this nice job. You get some benefits. It's good. And I said, yeah, okay, maybe I'll do that. And then I just moved on and did other things. So 2.5 years into my college career, I'm still a freshman. I decide, hey, let me go to the community college. Let me get my 2-year degree. And I start taking classes there. 4 classes. I stopped going to 1. Then I stopped going to the second one. Then by week 3, I stopped going to the third one. And in week 4, I'm on my way to the final class. This is it. I'm either going to, if I drop out of the community college, I will never go back. And I was walking past the library, and this is what I used to do. When I was in high school, I would go out on the tracks and get stoned. And then I would come back and I'd go to the library and I'd hide into the corner and I would sit in the back of the library and just read books because I enjoyed reading, right? So I'm perusing the shelves at the community college, looking at my watch because class is starting, and I'm like, I don't want to go. This class is so stupid, right? And I see this journal about prisons, and it's about recidivism in prisons and what happens to inmates when they get out. And I sit down and I start reading this article, and something clicked in my mind. I said, you know what? That's really fascinating. That's really, really fascinating. I could do that. And it happened to be a journal of social work. So I go over to the wall. There's a phone. I pick up the phone. I call the social work department. I say, hey, can I talk to somebody about transferring to social work? And so the person said, yeah, come on over right now. So this is now, I go to the main campus, back to the main campus. I sit down, signs me up for social work and a sociology class. I quit my job, I quit the band, and then 3 weeks later, I started classes for the first time in my life. I said, hey, I don't know, something clicked in my mind. Something, I don't know what it was, but somebody just said, dude, organize your thoughts and become a thinker. Just really organize your thoughts and try to become a thinker. You can do this. This would be really interesting. You've done it. You know, you got a business. You can do that. You have music. You can do that. You read. You can do that. There are lots of things you can do, but what if you just try this? So I quit everything and I started going to class. And I did nothing but study and focus on my studies. And the light bulbs just started going off. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I would go to the libraries and I would read and I would do this. And my grades were horrible. The first semester that I really worked hard, like really, I'm telling you, I worked so hard. I got 2 D's and 2 C's. It was awesome. I'm like, cool, man, because I had 4 grades. You know what I mean? I didn't really care. And then I just learned, like, look, I didn't know the difference between a verb and a noun. You know what I mean? I'm taking an English class, and they're like, okay, you need a verb. And I'm like, wow, what's a verb, you know? So it didn't matter because I discovered thinking and I discovered learning and my mind got turned on. And I realized you're not born smart. Like, you don't have to be smart to think. There's nothing called being smart. It's not about that. You have to be awakened. You have to just see these interesting connections between reality, and you have to just start asking questions. And so I started asking questions, crazy questions. I'm still asking questions. Every day I wake up, I'm asking new questions. Like, everything is interesting to me because I'm still the little kid who's asking the kinds of questions, but there wasn't anybody around to really kind of push me in one direction or another. I was just around people who were like, yeah, whatever. Their minds just weren't going. And so I became this person who asked a lot of questions. And the more questions you ask, the more you got to seek an answer to. And the more I asked and the more I started to answer, the more ignorant I realized that I was. Because then I started spending time around really, really smart people. And I realized, damn, this is really amazing. There's so much to know and so much to learn. And that's my story. So I started teaching. And all I started doing when I began teaching, I taught my first class when I was 23, 24. I just turned 24 years old. That same community college hired me to teach a course called Cybernetics and Human Ecology. And the dude, I sat down and did an interview with this guy, and I said, well, I know something about human ecology. I took 2 classes. I still didn't know anything, really. I took 2 classes, but I said, but I never even heard of the word cybernetics. And I said, can I have some time to think about it? He said, yeah, you got 15 minutes because the class is meeting down the hall. I said, okay, well, I guess I'm doing it. So I walk down the hall, and I walk into this room with 50 people looking at me. And I said, hey, I'm Sam. I'm here to teach cybernetics and human ecology. I have no idea what cybernetics is. So do any of you know what it is? Because if you do, tell me, because I don't know. And they look like, oh, shit, like, where are we going? And then we just started. I just started asking questions, and then we started asking and answering questions. And I realized the limits of my intellect because I started by teaching a class where I didn't know anything. I'm still teaching a class where I don't know anything. There is so much to know about the world of race and ethnic relations and the globe and cultures. And man, every day I am reminded of how much I don't understand. So it's been that way for over 35 years of teaching. It's just pretty awesome. So I'm just here to ask questions, y'all. So that's what we do in Social 19. Cool? We ask questions. And you will ask a lot. By the way, school, it's just deeply, I'm going to say, I'm just going to come on and say, when I look at my past, I feel just sad that I missed so many opportunities because school is like prison. This class isn't like that, man. You don't need notebooks. Have your phones out. I want your phones out because when I say things, I want you to jump on your phone and go do the research on your own. And by the way, this generation, I'm not like your generation, but y'all haven't learned that, right? You haven't learned, I'm jumping on my Google, I'm searching, I'm looking things up probably 30 times a day. I look things up on my phone. I see something I want to know the answer to that question, and I look it up on my phone. You should be doing that in this class. The more, when I say things and they're wrong, or whatever, check it out, test me. And then raise your hand and if I'm right or maybe half right or maybe I'm wrong. Or, you know what I mean? This class is about thinking. And you can't think if you're busy memorizing notes. So you will not memorize. You will not take notes other than some ideas that sparked your curiosity and maybe you want to take them further. You will, if you get bored, it's probably not going to be because of me. Maybe you didn't get enough sleep, or maybe, you're kind of in that space where I was in my first 2 years of college, where I just didn't know what I was doing and why I was there and what the purpose of it all is. And that's good. And by the way, if you go to classes and you just sit at your seat and you take notes and the professor drones on and you're not bored, actually, that might be a sign of your own mental illness, because that should be boring to you, right? And the fact that you pay for that, or your parents or whoever's paying for it, it's like there should be a revolution on college campuses, because that is just really uncool. To the best of my ability, that won't happen in here, although I can't guarantee sometimes you get, I don't know, whatever, that's life. It's not everything is exciting. But the way I look at it is, y'all have phones, right? And this phone right here, the world is in this phone. So I know that if you're bored, you can just jump on your phone and there's any number of really fascinating, cool things happening around the world, right? Because you can connect to anybody, anywhere. So I have to be more interesting than your phone. And you have porn on your phones, you know what I mean? The bar is really high for me because you can watch porn during class and that's damn. All right, maybe somebody, yeah, dude. Yeah. Okay. So you get it, right? My intention is just to spark our curiosity, and my own, primarily. Dude, I'm here for me. I'm here because fundamentally I'm talking out loud because I'm discovering new ideas as I talk. Every time I put a class together, I'm discovering new ideas. I'm fundamentally here for me. And if you have any teacher that says they're there for somebody else, they're like, we're here for ourselves. And in my perspective, any really good, authentic teacher is there for themselves because they're learning something, right? And so I come in here wanting to learn something every day. And if I'm learning something, I assume that you are too. You're not going to learn when I'm learning. You're not thinking when I'm thinking, but you're going to discover something. All right, Mom. That's a cool photo, isn't it? Man. My mom was 45 when I was born. She had 5 kids. I was the 5th child. I was the only one that was planned. Right? In this picture, my dad was like 58, I think. So he didn't die much longer. I was 9 years old, man. I was not, like, how old's 9 years old? About that big? I was like, how many of you have parents who have died already in your life? How old were you when your parents died? 16? Whoa, really? Your mom or your dad? Your mom? Did you? 13? Yeah, yeah. Who, your mom or your dad? Your dad? Yeah, it's big, right? It's big. Okay, that's me when I started teaching here at Penn State. Yeah. Dude, check out the piece earring, right? So, funny story, man. So, so I was living in Ecuador doing my PhD research, and so I was traveling a lot back and forth. And I came up. My wife, she was my partner at the time. We weren't officially married, but we were partners. And she had come here for her PhD, so I came to Penn State because we were going to live in Sin. And so I stopped by the sociology department. I just got back from Ecuador. And I had been, in the mountains. I had been in the rainforest and in the mountains. I came back. I had a cut-off T-shirt. I had cut-off jeans. I wasn't wearing any shoes. I had a bandana around my head. I walked into the social department to give them my vita, my resume. And the administrative assistant says, "Oh, well, so-and-so, the chair's here right now. You can just go talk to him." And I went, "Oh, okay. This isn't going to make a good impression." But I did. And he hired me to teach a course on urban sociology. I said to him, "I don't know anything about urban sociology. I never took a course on urban sociology in my life." He said, "Yeah, you'll be fine." I said, "Okay, it'll be like the cybernetics class." So, and so I started teaching this class that was the fall of 1990. I started teaching this class in 1991. And it was 150 students. We didn't have discussion groups. It was utter, once again, I had never taken a race class. They said, "Listen, can you teach this class?" I'm like, "I don't know." There's always just a lot of turmoil and conflict and issues in a race class. You know what I mean? So no one wanted to teach it. And I went in, and at the end of the first day, I said, "Oh, this is awesome." Because we started having these conversations in class, and people were getting into it and talking. And so I said, "Okay, I'm in." And so I've been teaching the course ever since, and now here we are. And what's the goal of the class? Just to think differently. However it is. Not like me. I will never, ever, ever. First off, I would never want anyone to think like me. I wouldn't impose that. I would never want you to experience my level of mental illness, right? So that's never the goal. I will never force my ideas on you. You won't even know what I think. I will jump around ideologically. One moment, you'll think, a couple semesters ago, we took I'm going to come back to what I mean about thinking differently. But for a moment, let me say, we ask at the end of the semester, and, a third of the students think I'm, really right wing, and a third think I'm really left wing, and a third think I'm just totally confused, which is mostly what I am. But I'm all over the place because my thinking is all over the place. I wake up every day and I discover something new and I have a new thought. And so I want you to think differently. When you leave, every day you leave this classroom, I want to have somehow, in some tiny way, scrambled some little bit of thinking in your brain, called you into question something that you believe in, or maybe something you didn't even know that you believed in. So when you walk out of the room, you're more confused than you were when you came in. I want you to be confused. You can't learn anything. You can't know anything. I don't know. I'm 59 years old. I don't know shit. Right? And so how can you at the 18, 19, 20, I mean, some of you are older, but come on, man. Confusion is where we want to be. Because out of confusion comes some kind of understanding, and it takes time. But here's one thing that I do know. I actually don't know anything. No, I got it. Listening to other perspectives matters. That all of us are amazingly complex. It's really easy to just pigeonhole people into one way of thinking or another, but none of us are like that. None of us. And it matters that we come together and that we share really cool. We share what we're thinking. And it matters that we allow ourselves to be confused. And thinking is really cool. Just because you never got turned on to it yet. Really thinking. I don't mean getting a college degree. I don't mean getting grades. I don't mean memorizing things. I mean actually thinking. When you have those thoughts that are yours and you put them together and you go wow, that was kind of cool. And you juxtapose two things and you make some analysis and man, the more you're able to do that, the more awesome it is to be alive. It's really, really cool. And that matters. And that comes with confusion. So I'll do my best to confuse you. Okay, here's something else. So I'm white, right? Got it? I'm a man. I'm straight. I'm mostly straight. I'm straight. But, I always say, if my wife dies before me, I'll be with a guy. Just because I just would rather, I'd just be with a guy. It's just easier. At this stage of my life, you know what I mean? It just would be a lot easier. So it's all good, right? So for the moment, I'm straight, but hit me back up if you find out she died and find out if I've crossed over or something, So, but there's so many more pieces than that. My social class, my religion, where I've traveled, who my friends are, who I've engaged with, who I've spoken with, who I've come to know, how I am when I sit down and have a conversation with the person driving the bus or person cleaning the room or the person who's running the show, whatever it is, right? It's just all these things matter. And let me just say something about being white. I'm really comfortable being white. I've been in this for a long time, and I'm really comfortable being white. And I have a really complex understanding of what it is to be white. And if you're not white, you can't have a complex understanding of what it is to be white unless you spend a lot of time around white people. You can't. You can't just be I live in a white society. I get what it is to be white. No, you don't, man. No. Come on, hang on a second. Whiteness is so immensely complex. And white people, it's there is so much to learn to get behind the caricatures on the ways we talk about and simplify the reality of people of color, people who are not white. There's so much work to do. There's so much work. And so for me, I'm going to be pushing everybody because it's what I do. I can push white people because I get it. I get what it is to be white, and I know like where white people need to be pushed. How you all need to get out of your comfort zone in some ways. And I also know that every white person in this room is different. Some of you have an immense amount of experience with people of lots of other racial and ethnic groups, and some of you have no experience. And black and brown people, I also know how to push you out of your comfort zone because I'm in this. Dude, it's like some of you have grown up in a really multicultural environment and some of you haven't. And you need to be pushed. It's like white people, let me say something to white people really fast. Because of this world we live in where it's like there's a lot of fear about saying the wrong thing and doing the wrong thing and maybe making a mistake and getting called out. Like, oh my God, I got called out. I'm a racist. It's like, it's good. It's all good, man. We'll walk through all that. We're going to cover that. We're going to be in it. It's like, I get that. I'm going to help you really try to understand how to work with that and how to do the journey that you need to do. And you want to do. Like, why wouldn't you want to do that? Because this is part of being alive, right? We are increasingly living this immensely complex multicultural world, and you want to get comfortable with it. And black and brown people, same thing. It's like, yeah, you might say, I'm really multicultural. Really? When's the last time you sat down and had a conversation with Muslims and Muslim women who are wearing a hijab and talked about, women's issues, for example? Whatever it is, right? When's the last time that, if you're black, for example, when's the last time you sat down and had a conversation with Chinese students here at Penn State, talked all about China and about what's happening? It's like, how about that? Well, how multicultural are you if you haven't done that? Those are two really simple things, right? Or when's the last time you sat down and talked about, if you're Asian or you're Latino or whatever, when's the last time, have any of you talked with some Penn Staters who are from rural areas and grew up on farms? How about that? That would be multicultural. You see, we're going to push in lots and lots of different ways. And it's cool. That's what we want to do. And so I'm really comfortable. I'll talk about things in ways that maybe some of you will find a little bit, I don't know. Sometimes people think that I'm really walking close to the edge, and I'm really not. I'm just talking. We're just talking about stuff. I think that we've created a society in which so often so many of us are really afraid to talk openly about these issues. We'll let stand-up comedians do it, but they can do it, do it, but the rest of us is kind of like, man, I don't want to go there. And so we've created this society where we're not really talking thoughtfully and openly about simple, basic things. And then I do it in here, and people think that somehow I'm being really brave or something. It's like, no, it's not. We're just talking about stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's cool. So the goal is to just get us all to think in new ways. Got it? Think in new ways. Not think like me, just think in new ways. You want to have new thoughts and new ideas. And I want you to have that. And so I want the conservative students, those of you who are conservative, I want you by the end of the semester to be a little bit more liberal. And the liberal students, I want you to be a little less liberal. The students who hate Trump, I want you at the end of the semester to actually start to see the ways in which this whole Trump phenomenon is kind of really valuable and really cool, really interesting. And the people who love Trump, I want you by the end of the semester to say man, okay, maybe this knucklehead's a little bit more of a knucklehead than I imagined, right? Got it? Cool? White people, I want you to actually, by the end of the semester, see some of the cool stuff about being white in a way that's not really dumb. You know what I mean? It's kind of cool being white. Here's this thing that it is. The civilian people understand the military. The military supporters understand the people who don't like the military. It's like a whole thing, understand a little more. So that's where we're going to go. That's my goal. Okay? Whoa. All right. Here's the deal. I'm going to say a couple things about class. You get the syllabus. I'm going to say this really fast. I'm going to say it a couple times. You get the syllabus online, on the website or on Canvas. Here's the most important thing. Attendance matters. If you don't go to class, hang on, I'm going to go back one. Attendance matters. You come to class. You just come to class. There's no excuse. You get 2 free absences. 2, man. 2. Got it? That's how they do it in the Czech Republic, like this. 2. After that, we start taking points off. Doesn't matter what the reasoning is. Doesn't matter. You were having open heart surgery, fine, but you're still losing the points. There's a way you can go look on the syllabus. There's a way you can make up a couple of those classes. So you can make that up. It's all good. Doesn't matter. Even if you have a Penn State University excuse, we do not accept any excuses in here. You just have to make up the classes. So what you want to do is you want to use your 2 free absences wisely. Got it? That's how we roll in here. All right, man. Next thing, there's 6 World and Conversation dialogues throughout the semester. We'll explain that. There are 12 weekly pack-back assignments. We'll explain that. There are 4 quizzes. Last semester, here was the final grade breakdown. 66% of the class got A's. 8% got F's. It's like, how's it possible that 8% of the class could get F's? Want to know how 8% of the class got F's? Because they never read the syllabus. They didn't turn their pack. Dude, the pack-back thing will take you at most a half hour. They didn't turn it in, so yeah, I just kept forgetting to do them. All right, well, we're going to keep forgetting to give you the points. And they were people who were unorganized and just whatever. They were just on a different journey. They were like where I was in the first 2 years of my college career. So it's fine, but F's are fine. F's work. I got plenty of F's. Look at me. So it's not hard to get an A. The issue is you have to do the work to get the A. So you want to be organized. Okay? It's cool. And most of the quizzes, for example, the mean scores on the quizzes, it's like, Lauren, what was it, 93% or something? 93%. They're the median. Because half the class got 93% or above. Cool. You get that? So it's like, all right, come on, man. Straight up. It's not a difficult class, but you got to plan to come. Class etiquette. So here's a couple things. You can't have your laptops open in class. That's fundamental. You can have your phones out. You can't have your laptops open. Can't watch porn, right? Do I have to say that, bro? I do, actually, because a couple years ago, there was some dude in the back watching porn. I'm like, seriously, bro. Like, oh, my God. All right. You can't just be on your phone playing video games and stuff. Like, come on, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't bother people around you. That's the key. Like, if you want to play video games on your phone, because I'm a multitasker, just keep your phone down. I don't know, figure it out. Okay? Classroom etiquette. So don't bother people around you. For right now, that's it. Use Twitter to have the conversation that we want to have. And that'll be good. I'll come up with more things on etiquette. All right, man. Volunteers, case studies. Let me say something about this. This class, almost every single class, will have people volunteering. And I will not volunteer people, but I may recruit people before class. They go around and say, hey, man, you want to volunteer for something? And if you ask me, what's it for? I can't tell you what it's for because, you know what I mean? Because that's part of the whole experience. So I'll go around sometimes and look for volunteers. Well, I'll just simply ask. I'll say, listen, I need 2 people who were born outside the United States. Who's it going to be? It's all experimental. We're just engaging. It's live. We'll bring you down to the front, and we'll have we'll do these case studies. Something where we're teaching each other. But in order to teach each other, I need someone in the front who can explore and represent, who can explore publicly what it is that they've experienced or what it is that they see. So There are no gotcha moments, man. There are no I never, ever, ever set up a single gotcha moment. Like, I'm going to bring somebody up to the front and have you sit on the table and explain something about who knows what. I have no idea. And then, so that you'll say something that's racist or ignorant or whatever, and then we can laugh at you and feel that will never happen. Ever. I will never, ever set that up. So, the moment that I do that, because this class runs on volunteers, there has to be an understanding that if you volunteer, that I have your back, that it's all an exploration with between us, and this class runs on the understanding that you're not going to be put on. Well, you're not going to be put on the spot. You may not have an answer to something, and that's good. You know what I mean? Like, that's all good, but we're all vulnerable in these moments. Cool? And it's fun to volunteer, man, because it's always a lot of fun. Let's do our first case study. Let's just kind of show you what we're going to do. So I need 2 international students who were born outside the U.S., who live outside the U.S. They're just here, born and live outside the U.S. Dude, we'll go with you and... Wait, where are you from, bro? Australia? Oh, dude, perfect. Where are you from? Where? Colombia. Oh, okay, Colombia. Okay, can the 2 of you come down? You can actually, you're gonna go out here. Australia, mate. How'd I do? Okay. All right. Hey, so listen. By the way, I'm a sociologist. I thrive on awkward. Nothing's awkward for me ever. Hang on, you're gonna go out here, and just hold tight, and I'll bring you back in a hot second. Wait, though. Hey, Joy and Nish, can you make sure that door's closed so they can't hear? Okay, so here's what I need. I need someone who's really into guns, like an American who's really into guns, man. Maybe two people like you. Like, are you packed? Are you an NRA person? Seriously? You have an NRA sticker? Okay, you're good. All right. Wait, hang on. Let me see that. Dude, not only that. Oh, shit. Look at this. Hey, can you get that? Put that on the screen. You got Trump. This is, dude, oh my God. Wait, hang on. Turn around. Show her shirt also. Shit. Okay. So, all right, come on the front. All right. Here, actually, you're going to stand over here for a second. So here's the deal. So what's your name?
Emily.
Talk right into the mic.
Emily.
Hey, and, okay, so you are, well, hang on a second. I'm not going to, where are you from, by the way?
York, Pennsylvania.
York?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a big gun culture down there. Right? Okay.
Love it.
I'm going to bring, how about you sit up here?
Okay.
Emily, so does anyone have a question for Emily? Besides why socialism sucks or whatever? I don't know. Wait a second. That's all you. Dude, by the way, did you notice? So when you showed that, this is also important for the stream, by the way, people watching the stream. When you held up your computer with the Trump sticker and NRA sticker and so on, and then you have that, people clapped, right? And they clapped because, I'm not really sure. Well, I do kind of understand. Part of it is just because you're being honest, and it's exciting. It's cool to have people be honest, and like this stuff works when we have different perspectives and points of view in the class. So awesome, man. So Emily from York. All right, team, come on. Jeff, I need 2 more mics, 2 more stick mics. Next class, we'll introduce you to. This is Jeff, by the way. Jeff actually really runs the show here, but I'll introduce you to Jeff in a hot second. Hey, the 2 of you are going to be, Why don't you stand over here with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your name?
Carol.
Talk into the mic.
Carol,
Where are you from?
Colombia.
Here, you stand over here, bro, next to Carol. Where in Colombia?
Bogota, the capital.
Bogota? You live there now?
No, I moved here like 5 years ago, but
5
I
years
lived
ago?
there my whole life.
Okay, and bro?
Naman from Sydney, Australia.
Sydney, Australia? So, so what's your name again?
Naman. Naman.
Nama?
Naman.
Naman.
Yeah.
Okay, and Carol? Carolina?
No, just Carol.
Carol? Okay. Oh, come on, you're not really Colombian, are you? Okay, so listen, man. And this is, here. So you're going to talk, no, the two of you can stand right there.
okay.
We're just going to, no, stand like right here. Yeah, when you come up front. So this is just a demonstration. So listen, Emily is into guns.
Okay.
Like really into guns. And your job is to discover, because I know in Colombia, like basically no one has guns. I mean, not in Bogota. Like it's impossible to get a gun in Colombia. And in Australia, it's very difficult. So I want you to learn some things about guns in the United States by asking her questions.
Okay.
Have you ever had a conversation in the United States with someone who's really, really, really into guns in America?
Yes.
Yeah? Wait, hang on a second. Is there anyone who is there anybody who hasn't ever had that conversation with anybody? Well, hang on, we're just going to stick with you. This is just a demonstration.
Okay.
So what are you, when you meet somebody like Emily here, who's a crazy gun-toting lunatic, right? No, hang on. That's what I call my brother in jest. That's why I said that, because he's watching the screen, and that's how we go with each other. When you got somebody like Emily, because I grew up with guns, by the way, just so you know, like really, I started shooting guns not much older than I was there. My dad was really into guns. I started shooting guns at a really, really young age. And when you have an opportunity to ask somebody who's really into guns some questions, like Americans, because the idea is Americans love our guns and we're always shooting everybody and stuff. What do you want to know? Here's your opportunity to ask somebody.
I don't have good accuracy.
Okay.
Should I still go shooting?
Oh,
I
definitely.
really want to try it.
Oh, definitely. There's a bunch of like ranges that you can go to. I'm sure there's some at State College. I personally haven't gone shooting here, but yeah, there's people that can teach you. There's lessons. I personally would love to teach you if you want to learn.
And what kind of attracts you to the guns? Is it like the feeling of the power, or is it just the action, or is it what attracts you to guns? What do you like
Well,
about
it depends on
guns?
what kind of gun you're talking about. If you're talking about a rifle, like an AK-47 or an AR-15, it's something that they're just fun to shoot. Like they're fun to go to the range and have a beer and go shoot some skeet. But if it's like a pistol that's more used for self-protection, I get to kind of practice in a situation where you'd need it.
Okay, let me coach you right here.
Right.
So, do you have a follow-up question?
What do you think about guns outside of the gun range?
I personally have a concealed carry permit. I don't carry on campus. I'm not carrying right now. But I think it's a necessity, honestly. We just saw the thing that just happened down in Texas. And if it wasn't for the armed security guard there was probably a lot of more lives would have been lost than the two men that were.
Do you have a question?
Yeah. I'm like not against guns, but
No,
like
you're
if
good.
everyone is allowed to have them, don't you think the shootings will go down in a way? Like if it's not that easy to get guns, wouldn't it be easier to control shootings or things like that? Since like you just mentioned Texas.
Yeah, so it depends on what kind of guns you're talking about. You can't just go out and buy an AK-47. Like you just can't do it. You have to have a background check, and you have to have a permit for it. Concealed carry permits, it's a lot easier in Pennsylvania than other states to get it. So like I just lived in DC for a couple months, and there you have to take a class and you have to be trained to do it. So it's all kind of really depending on where you think about it politically. I personally think that you should be able to carry as a self-protection thing. And that's not just from people either. I grew up on a farm where we had bears on our property that you can't really stop with a
You have bears
baseball
on your
bat.
property?
Yeah, we
right.
have
That
bears
was
on
my
my property growing up.
question.
Okay. Do you have another question?
I was gonna say, do you like shooting more rangers or animals?
I mean, I do hunt, but
What do you hunt for?
hunt deer. I do more archery than rifle, actually. For
You do
hunting.
archery too?
Yeah.
Could you, no kidding, could you see that camera over there?
Yeah.
Could you hit that camera with a bow, with an arrow?
Probably.
Really?
Yeah.
Like the center of the camera or just the camera itself?
Probably. It's a couple.
The center?
Probably, depending on what sights you have on the bow and what bow you have.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Do you have another question for her?
Yeah, so me, being from Australia, we're not really used to seeing guns out in public. So when we went to Walmart, me and my friends, we were a bit like surprised just seeing it in a rack. And as we understand it, that it's just, you can't just buy it from the rack, but you need a permit and things like that. But don't you think the permit process is a bit liberal as well? Because if you have no prior offenses, I'm not too sure what the permit process is, but if you do not have a prior offense, do you think that is still too liberal to get a gun at the age of 18?
I don't. Just because if you put certain regulations on certain things, so there's a thing called the red flag laws that people that some Texas politicians like Dan Crenshaw are really going for, and it's a good in a sense that a red flag law means that you can't own a gun if like a psychiatrist or something says that you are not mentally fit for it,
Yeah,
right?
let's flag you.
But that can be abused. So I can say that I feel uncomfortable him having a gun around me because he smokes pot, and
No, I smoke
because
pot.
he smoked pot. Sorry, I assumed. Smoked pot, and I don't think he's mentally sound for that. So it can, and when he really could be, because it was a thing that he did in the past. You know what I mean? So it's something that could be abused. That
Okay, so here's a question that y'all missed. That I will say, when she started talking, she said, "Well, it's not like, sometimes it's different. Every gun's different. Sometimes it's not like, you go drink a beer and then you go shoot your AK-47. So, like, do you drink beer and shoot an AK-47? Have you ever done that?
not an AK-47, but like 22s, yeah,
Oh,
like
okay,
rifles.
okay,
You
okay.
do, and you shoot skeet on the range,
All right.
and it's all people around you. Like there's people, the professionals there watching. It's not like you're getting drunk. It's like you're having one singular beer.
So what do you wish people, as a gun owner, and as a gun enthusiast,
Yeah.
what do you wish people would ask you when they like meet you? So they see your NRA sticker. What are some things you wish people would actually ask you?
Probably why, like, I feel strongly about having guns, or not like having guns, but like being able to protect oneself instead of just assuming that like I hate the assumption that people, when they think about like assault rifles, that anyone that owns an assault rifle wants to go out and kill somebody. I've had someone say that to me before, and I'm like, I do not. Like I own assault rifles, and I'm not going to hurt anybody with it.
Yeah.
It's just for fun. It's for protection. It's for
Well, so here, this is actually kind of a really cool conversation, because it's like the stereotypes that we make of like all Muslims are, or, poor people are this, or white people X, whatever it is, like Christians this. It's like all these things that we can say would be like people who own assault rifles are all like this kind of thing. So it's the same. It sort of goes around in lots of different ways. Do you have any final questions?
Yeah, just one question. So you say about protecting yourself. So protecting yourself against what? Animals, I understand. Like you said, you have bears on your property.
People, break-ins in your house. It happens all over the country. It happened at State College, where an older gentleman at the Ramada, like last year, where the guy broke into his house after shooting up the bar. And broke into his house. That's something that you could have something to protect yourself from. It's not necessarily going out and always having it on you, but having a rifle or having a pistol in your home to protect yourself from people or animals or, I'm a big Second Amendment person, government.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, slightly.
So, how was it to be up here talking?
I'm a little shaky.
But you're nice. You're doing a nice job.
Thank you.
How is it for the two of you?
It was okay.
It's nice?
Yeah.
It's like it's good to ask questions. And like, did you learn something?
Yeah.
You learned something?
perspective?
Yeah, I learned something. Did you learn something?
Yeah,
Just by talking about your thoughts?
yeah, just right.
So, what could make it easier or better? Anything? Is there anything I could do that would have made this easier for you?
No.
Anything for you?
No.
For you? Okay, so listen. This this is just an example of a case study. I mean, I did this because it's interesting. I don't know. It's kind of interesting to get international students or people who are not born inside the United States to have an opportunity to ask Americans questions, right? We don't do that, surprisingly. Like, we're always talking at each other and yelling at each other, but we're not really engaging. And so this is just one tiny piece. We'll do more starting next class. But anyway, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Emily, Carol, and what is it? Naman. Yeah. Naman. Thanks, Mike. God. All right, listen, man. Let me just do, since we have a hot minute. Hey, Nish and Joy, can you just come out really fast for a second? I just want to introduce you to the class. And so we just kind of see, like, in some ways, what's happening behind the scenes and how we're operating.
Hello.
And by the way, if you never don't want to be on the stream, and by the way, those of you in the back, there are a lot of seats up here. So, you never have to be in the back. Dude.
Hi.
These are the two women who are running the live stream. Can you just say something about what you're doing back there? Well, first off, introduce yourself.
My name is Joy. Hey.
I'm Darnisha.
Just
Call me Niche.
But yeah, we do stuff back here. We work with wires and we make this stuff happen.
Yeah,
Dude.
you'll see me flitting around the class trying to fix stuff, but I mean, if you have any questions about what's going on with the stream, you can ask any of us.
Yeah, like if you want to join, because we definitely need members every semester. There's a new team. You probably won't see me that frequently. I'm actually transitioning and taking a little bit of a step back this semester. This would be my
Fifth semester.
sixth semester, and I took the class myself 4 years ago.
I think this is my 5th semester doing this too.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, but what are you doing back there? You're like you're running the stream. You're directing it.
Yeah,
Which
so
means,
whatever
what are
you
you
guys
doing?
see on the YouTube channel, like that's what's going on back there. Like you don't hear all the screaming that we do, but
So
what
you're,
I'm talking.
so you're talking to the camera ops.
Yeah.
You're telling them which shots to get.
Yeah, we're telling them like, hey, like zoom in, zoom out, like get people in the crowd, go to Sam, move this way, move that way. We're like puppet masters.
We're getting all your beautiful faces. Oh, where's the section for who cannot
Yeah.
go?
Should
Did
be
they
up
sign
at
the
the
waiver,
top.
right?
Yeah, if you
This
guys
is always our
absolutely, like,
don't want to
don't
be on
want
the
your
camera.
face
Okay.
up there in the corner.
Sorry, because you've definitely been recorded. But now we know.
And if you come down, when you come down to the front, you have to make sure you get on and you sign that waiver. I sent it out on Canvas. I'll send it again. And what I want to say about these two young women is they're awesome. And Niche isn't awesome just because of her hair, although she is also awesome because of her hair. And Joy isn't awesome just because of her just awesome jewelry. But what they do so incredibly well is they have taken this live stream to the next level and really are producing an awesome production, I think.
But don't forget about Jeff. I mean, you mentioned him
Dude,
a little
hang
bit,
on.
and he's
Jeff will-
probably...
Yeah, we love Jeff, guys.
No, it's really Jeff.
No, I'm going to introduce Jeff next. But so thanks you all. Thanks for. I just want. I think it's so people like you're so working behind the scenes. I think it's really important that people see your.
I kind of
smiling
prefer
face.
to stay back there, so.
Dude. Thanks, Malone. Thanks.
I will say about what they do, if they find you sleeping, I'm not going to say they're going to put you on the live stream, but they might. And just remember that whatever you say in these microphones is hot. So it's a little bit tricky. If you say something and you regret saying it, just remember you're going to say this in the live stream. So just keep that in mind.
Hey, thanks you all. Hey, wait, can we get a round of applause for Joy and Nish? And yeah, if you do volunteer and you come up and maybe it's just a little bit awkward in a way, you're like, I'm not entirely comfortable with that. Last semester we had somebody and they just said, look, we'd prefer if you just cut that piece out and don't use it, and we did. It's fine. So just know that don't be afraid to volunteer, like in that sense. And this is Jeff, so who's just kind of running just running the whole technology show in here, keeping me on point. So,
If I do my job correctly, you won't know you won't know I'm doing a job at all.
but all this stuff is really his. He's just has taken all the technology in here to the next level. So it's pretty cool. Jeff was also, you were a student, like,
This is my 10th semester in
I
social
always
19.
tell the story that I met Jeff because I outed him. And I thought he was out. And so I'm like, yeah, so you were on the stream. And he's on the stream, he's talking. I'm like, so you're gay, right? And I was like, yeah, I guess. So I'm like, oh shit, you weren't out? He's like, no. I'm like, oh, are your parents watching? No, okay, we're good.
No. My parents still don't watch.
He's out now, though. It's all good. Now he's out. So, that happens in 119 sometimes. But it's not so. Dude, no, but the reason I tell that story is because things are live in here. Things are moving. The intention is always positive. The intention is always good. So we're rocking and rolling. Okay, so that was an example of a case study. There are all sorts of things that we do. And I now have something I want to talk about. On Monday, so my wife and I, years ago, 17, 18 years ago, we started, one thing that grew out of this class was World in Conversation. And we used to have dialogues in this class and conversations, discussion groups. So every student met with other students for the whole 15 weeks, and they had a discussion group in Social 19. Then we stopped doing that, and we actually, instead of doing discussion groups with the same group of people every week, what you do is you sign up for a certain number of World in Conversation dialogues throughout the week, or every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, we're going to talk about this later, Kate, but you have to sign up for a World in Conversation dialogue with certain members of the class. You don't know who it's going to be. It'll just be random people. And you fit it into your schedule. It's all good. There'll be dialogues all day long, all night long throughout the week. But last year, at World in Conversation, we started what's called a day of dialogue. And we'd been kind of playing around with this now and then, but we really got serious about it last year. And what we did was we invited administrators, faculty, staff, graduate students and undergraduate students, and then some community members. So like it'd be police officers and like health workers and all sorts of things in the community to come to Thomas Building on MLK Day, so on Monday. And we actually take over the entire Thomas Building and have dialogues all day long. So we'll have about 75 dialogues on that day and conversations. And what's cool about this is that most all of the main administrators on campus, from the president on down, are going to be participating in the dialogues that day, and lots of professors and lots of staff members and so on, and from departments all across the university. And so you have an opportunity to sit in a group with 10 people and have a facilitated conversation with facilitators from World in Conversation running it. And it's not the same as the World in Conversation dialogues that we will have in this class, because this is going to include people who are not undergraduate students. So in every group, there'll be about 4 undergraduate students and about 6 people who are not undergrad students. And once again, administrators, like you might be in a group with Eric Barron, the president, or Nick Jones, the provost, or whatever, right? So it's a really unique opportunity, and it's an hour and 45-minute commitment of your time, as you can see. And there are 3 different times. And so what we've just started doing this week, we have all of the non-undergraduate students lined up. But what we just started doing this week, because this is really, dude, this never happens at Penn State, where you could be in a group talking to professors and administrators about life, about things that really matter to you and matter to them, and have it be facilitated. So we've just started recruiting undergrad students, and we need to recruit a couple hundred of y'all, right? And this is not a class thing. This is outside of class. It's not about that. It's on MLK Day. You're not in classes. First off, we encourage you to be involved in MLK Day of Service, the activities that are happening as part of the regular activities in MLK. But this is just its own thing that World in Conversation is sponsoring. Okay? So, And we are sponsoring primarily because people who are not undergraduate students rarely, if ever, participating in the day of service on that day, but people want to do something. They want to engage, and they want to talk to undergraduate students. So it really is a unique opportunity. So what we would like to do, so Taylor and Kate are here, and you'll meet Kate again next week because she'll be back. Hey, can you all maybe you could just come sit right here for a hot second. And what we want to do is you can just hang out for a hot minute. This is Kate. This is Taylor. Hi. Thanks for coming, by the way. Anytime, man. So they both work at World in Conversation. What we would like, we got to blast this thing out and get students to come on one of these times. You don't have to come on all 3 times. You just come at one. And we want people to be aware of the opportunity so that people can join us, because these conversations matter. It's about you, it's about us, it's about the community, and ultimately it's about expanding our minds. So if you're not doing the day of service, this is a really cool, we'd like you to be involved. And maybe you yourself can't be involved, but maybe you're part of an organization that could be, and you could send it out to the organization. And we are really interested in international students, by the way. So if you're part of like the Saudi Student Association or the Muslim Student Association or the Chinese Student Association or Korean students, what we'd like is come down and talk to Taylor and Kate. Let them get an email of either you or someone in your organization, but certainly you. Dude, are you part of the Trump students on campus at all? Dude, Republican group. All right, so good. Like we already reached out to them, but we want to do it again, right? We want money and perspective. Could you really come down and talk to? Let's exchange emails so that we can blast the invitation out to people in your organization, in your club. If you're part of fraternities and sororities on campus, just know that every fraternity and sorority on campus is supposed to be sending a few members to this, so you can talk to your leadership. And let me just say the following about this experience. Last year at the end of it, we asked people like, so what'd you think about this? And 80% of the people were just uber positive. Like, this was the first time I've ever had this kind of conversation. This is really, really cool. Another 17% were like, this is cool, it's all right. And about 3% were like, okay, I could have stayed home in bed. So you have a 97% chance of leaving going like, hey, that was really cool. Okay. Is that awesome? Dude, it'll make this place feel a lot smaller. So that's what we're going to do when class is over. You just got to work your way to the front. But in the meantime, I want to take one question from somebody. I don't have the mic, so we'll just get it out. Someone throw a question out. Anybody? Anything you want to know about me, about the class, about where we're going, about anything at all. Dude. Yeah. Oh, dude, you got a loud voice. Go for it. If we'll take like if you're part of a student organization or something, like about how attendance is. Oh, attendance. We'll pass an attendance sheet around starting Tuesday. Yeah.
It's actual paper that you're going to sign.
Dude, it's old school, man. We go old school in here. We're all about Twitter and new school and technology, but on attendance, it's old school.
We'll go a little bit more when the first day of attendance happens, but you just sign your name, and then you're going to sign your name the same way every single class.
You don't sign your friend's name either or anything like that. Anybody else have a question, man? Yes. Do I still smoke pot? That's like, are you still beating your wife, right? No. Yes. No. Yes. Let me say this. I'm a licensed medical marijuana caregiver in the state of Pennsylvania. So, but I didn't answer your question though, right? Okay, so listen, man. If you're part of a student organization, really